Hello. Now let's see rule 43. Now in this rule we'll see that if a capital goods is used for business and non-business purpose or for affecting taxable supplies as well as affecting non-taxable supplies, then how much credit is allowed, how much is not allowed, and what happens. Very interesting rule. So let's see. Manner of determination of input tax credit in respect of capital goods and reversal thereof in certain circumstances. Subject to provisions of subsection 3 of 16, the input tax credit in respect of capital goods which attracts the provisions of subsection 1 and 2 of 17. So subject to 16.3 means subject to allowability. So allowability we have seen in section 16. So subject to that, and also 17.1 and 2. So 17.1 deals with part business, part non-business. 2 deals with exempt and taxable supplies. So that is given here. For purpose of business and partly for other purpose, or partly for affecting taxable supplies including zero rated and partly for affecting non-exempt supplies, shall be attributed to the purpose of business or for affecting taxable supplies in the following manner, namely: A. The amount of input tax in respect of capital goods used or intended to be used exclusively for non-business purpose, or used or intended to be used exclusively for affecting exempt supplies, shall be indicated in GSTR 2 and 3B and shall not be credited to electronic credit ledger. Simple. So if I'm buying a machinery for household use, no credit. If I'm buying something for non-business use, no credit. If I'm buying something exclusively for affecting exempt supplies, no credit will be allowed at all. Simple. Okay. Secondly, amount of input tax in respect of capital goods used or intended to be used exclusively for affecting supplies other than exempt supplies, means taxable supplies, including zero rated supplies, shall be indicated in GSTR 2 and 3B and shall be credited to electronic credit ledger. So those which are exclusively for taxable supplies, full credit is allowed. Simple, full credit. Okay. Then explanation is to be cut off. This is real estate related, so not in course. Then C. The amount of input tax in respect of capital goods not covered by A and B, means common, which is for common use, okay, shall be denoted as A. So it will be called as A, shall be credited to electronic credit ledger. So you first credit the whole tax of common usage capital goods to electronic credit ledger, okay, and the useful life of such goods shall be taken as 5 years from the date of invoice of such goods. Its life will be expected as 5 years from the date of invoice. Okay, we'll assume that the life of this asset is 5 years. Very good. Provided that where any capital goods earlier covered under A means wholly exempt supply, non-business or wholly exempt supply, is subsequently covered under this clause, means I had an asset which was earlier used for wholly non-business use, maybe in house or for affecting exempt supply, but now I'm using it partly for exempt and partly for taxable supply, means I start using it for taxable supply also. Then what will happen? Then the value A means the amount which is to be credited to electronic credit ledger, means the amount of credit to be taken, shall be arrived at by reducing the input tax at the rate of 5 percentage points for every quarter or part thereof. Full quarter or part thereof. 5% for full or part thereof, means if suppose there are 3.5 quarters, it will be taken as 4 quarters. Okay, and the amount A shall be credited to electronic credit ledger. Now let me first explain what is happening here. Okay, otherwise you will not understand anything. Okay, so what we have got is, okay, first let me tell you that what we are going to do in this rule. I'll explain in brief. If I have got a capital goods exclusively for non-business or exempt supply, then no ITC is allowed, right? There is no input tax credit, absolutely no ITC. Then if I have got a capital goods which is exclusively for taxable supply or zero rated supply, then I get full ITC. Full input tax credit is allowed. Okay, if I've got a capital goods which is part use, then what we do is, and suppose the tax on that is say 15,000 rupees, CGST, SGST, whatever it may be, then what we do is, first we take full credit. Firstly, allow full ITC. Okay, so we'll take full ITC of 15,000 in our electronic credit ledger. We'll credit to electronic credit ledger full 15,000 rupees. Okay, then what we do is, we estimate its life as 5 years, is equal to, you can say, 60 months or 20 quarters. 60 months means 20 quarters. Okay, so we'll estimate life over 20 quarters. Now if these are quarters, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, so Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 and so on and so forth up to 20 quarters. Now what we do here is that we are going to study in this rule in time to come, that every quarter you have to find out, or every month, you can say 60 months or quarters. Sometimes we use the quarter word and sometimes we use month. Okay, so let it be. So first we'll take full credit, and then every month, so if this is a month, month 1, month 2, month 3 and so on and so forth, as we saw in 42 that we have to reverse part credit, so here also we have to reverse part credit. How? Now take this 15,000. Okay, full credit allowed 15,000. 15,000 if I divide in 60 months means amortize, concept of depreciation or amortization. 15,000 is the total credit of an asset which is going to be used for 5 years. So if I amortize this 15,000 in 60 months, so 15,000 divided by 60 gives me 250 per month. Okay, so credit attributed to 1 month is 250. Over 60 months, 15,000. Though I have taken 15,000 in full in the first instance itself, but if I amortize it, it is 250 per month. Now every month what we have to do is reverse credit of 250, that is of that month, into turnover of exempt supplies divided by total turnover of that month. So like we did E upon F in the earlier rule 42, same thing we'll do here. E upon F. E is exempt supply divided by total supply, means proportion for exempt use. So 250 into this. So in 1 month it may come to 120. In another month, because the ratio may change, exempt turnover upon total turnover ratio, the percentage may change every month. So sometimes it can be 120, then it can be 40, then it can be 100, and it can be 110, and so on and so forth. So these much amounts will keep reversing, reversal. So over the period of 60 months, we'll keep on reversing some amounts, partial amounts. Understood? So first you take 15,000 in full credit taken initially, and then every month we'll keep on reversing part amounts along with interest. Because government says we gave you credit in the first month and you are reversing it over 60 months, so give us interest also. So okay, so we'll keep on reversing the amounts with interest. So this is how the calculation is done. This is the simple logic of reversal. Now the point is that if an asset was purchased here, means capital goods. So capital good acquired, and if the life is assumed to be say 60 months, so for the first 16 months it was used exclusively for exempt supplies, and then you are using it for exempt plus taxable supplies. So now the question is that I should be entitled for credit at this point when I am shifting the use for partly exempt and partly taxable supplies. Okay, so how do we calculate now? Now suppose the tax paid was 60,000 rupees, means for every 1 month 1,000 rupees. Now how many quarters have gone here? See, from the date of acquisition till the date of conversion, how many quarters have gone? So each quarter is of 3 months, so 16 divided by 3 means 5 quarters and 1 month. So this is 5 quarters and 1 month, means 6 quarters. So what we'll do is 6 quarters into 5% per quarter means 30%. For 6 quarters I'll have to reduce 30% of 60,000. So 60,000, the total tax, minus 30% यानी कि 18,000 will give us 42,000. So this 42,000 which remains will be taken as ITC here at this point. So you take ITC of 42,000. Okay, then see how many months remain. So how many months remain now? 16 months have gone out of 60. 60 minus 16 will give me 44. So 42,000 will be divided over 44 months, means 954 per month. So credit per month will now be 954.54, or let's take it as 955, round off. So 955 comes on per month basis. So first we'll take 42,000 credit, then per month 955. Now from this we'll do the reversals every month, E upon F. So whatever is that ratio E upon F, that will be reversed every month starting from this month. Okay, so first you take 42,000 credit and then reverse. So that is the logic of this rule 43. So let's see, or if you want to take this down, then you can take this down. Okay, now in this I'll explain one more logic which is to come, that it may also happen that an asset which was earlier used fully for taxable supplies is now converted into part use. That can also happen. So in the same example I'll tell you that if earlier this was for taxable supplies. Okay, so taxable supplies, so in that case I would have taken full ITC here itself. ITC availed of 60,000, right? Then for 16 months it is used fully for taxable supplies, means 6 quarters, means 30%. So that 30% will be reduced, 18,000 gone. So this 18,000 here means that 18,000 credit is allowed to you and you have taken full use of it. Now the balance 42,000 we will not take credit here, but we'll just take 42,000, divide it over the 60 months period, so that gives me 955 per month. Out of this 955 I will start reversal every month in the ratio of E upon F. So we have taken full credit in the initial stage itself. We don't have to take credit now at the time of conversion, but we need to reverse. We need to start reversal of credit over the balance number of months. So whatever is the monthly figure now, we'll keep reversing it over the remaining life of that asset. Okay, so two things can happen. An asset which is exclusively for non-business use or exempt supplies converted into part use, or an asset which was there for fully taxable supplies converted into part use. Got it? Great. So let's see now. So this is the first proviso that we saw. Provided that where the capital goods earlier covered under clause A, that is wholly exempt supply, subsequently covered under this clause, then the value A means the credit to be taken, 42,000 that we calculated. So A for our example was 42,000, shall be arrived at by reducing the input tax at the rate of 5 percentage points for every quarter, 5% for every quarter or part thereof, and the amount A shall be credited to electronic credit ledger, means that 42,000 will be credited to electronic credit ledger. Okay, good. Then there's an explanation given there that item of capital goods declared under clause A on its receipt shall not attract the provisions of 18(4) if it is subsequently covered under this clause. Now you don't know 18 and you don't know subsection 4, so leave it right now. When you will study, you will understand. Then the aggregate of A credited to the electronic credit ledger under clause C to be denoted as TC shall be common credit in respect of capital goods for a tax period. Very good. That will be called as common credit. Provided that where any capital goods earlier covered by B, means exclusively for taxable supply. So this is the second point that I already explained to you, is subsequently covered under C. The value of A arrived at by reducing the input tax at the rate of 5 percentage points for every quarter or part thereof shall be added to aggregate TC. See, they are not saying that you have to take credit. They are not saying, because you have already taken credit. In the first instance itself, at the time of purchase itself, you have taken full credit. So now you don't have to take credit, but you have to just add it to TC. It will be called as common credit. So in this example, 60,000 credit was already taken, out of which 18,000 reduced, 42,000 balance will be considered as TC. That is the balance credit which now needs to be reversed. Now what we'll do is, the amount of input tax credit attributable to a tax period, means month or quarter as the case may be, on common capital goods during their useful life be denoted as TM and calculated as TM is equal to TC upon 60. So now you must be understanding. So for every asset the life is 60 years. So whatever credit is taken will be divided by 60. So we'll get per month. But in those two cases where for part of the year it was used for some other purpose, part of the year means part of the time and then converted, then you will divide by balance number of years, not 60. Okay, like we divided by the balance number of months, like 44 I think were remaining. Yeah. Then the amount of input tax credit at the beginning of the tax period on all common capital goods, means brought forward ones, which are brought forward from preceding periods, whose useful life remains during the tax period, shall be denoted as TR and shall be aggregate of TM for all such capital goods. So TM means for every asset there is a TM. So if there are 7 assets or 8 assets which are continuing over this month also, their useful life remains. So if I'm using 120 assets, I have got TM of all these assets. I will take them together, aggregate them, okay, and they will be called as TR. So aggregate of all assets which are still having the useful life will be called as TR. Okay, total of all assets is TR. If somebody has not understood, I'll explain again. See, this is asset 1, then there is asset 2, then there is asset 3. So they are purchased at different points of time now. So for A1 the amortization is beginning from year to year. For A2 it started from here and going on up to here. For A3 it started here and will go on here. So these are 60 months from the date of acquisitions. And if my month is this, so all the 3 assets have their useful life in this month. So here I'll get TM of asset A, here I'll get TM of asset 2 and TM of asset 3. If I total all the 3, that gives me TR for this particular month. Okay, great. Now the amount of common credit attributable towards exempt supplies for this month be denoted as TE, E exempt, and calculated as TR is the total, into E upon F. Exempt supply divided by total supply. And EF are similar to rule 42. E means exempt supply turnover and F means total supply turnover, total turnover. Simple. Exempt supply divided by total, so you get E upon F. And then again the proviso, then definition of E, definition of F, explanation 1, explanation 2, cut it off. This is real estate related, which is not in course. And then come down to the proviso below. This is also similar to 42, that if the turnovers are not available for the current period, then you take the turnover of exempt supply and total supply of the preceding period, preceding this month. So E upon F shall be taken of the last tax period. Simple. And the explanation is also same, that if the turnover includes central excise, service tax, state excise, state VAT, then they are not to be considered. They are to be excluded from the turnovers. Then the amount of TE, that is proportion for exempt, like if I show this example, so this is the TR that we calculated. Suppose we have 3 assets, TM, total gives me TR. TR divided into TE, that is for exempt, and though there is no denomination for this, but we can call it as TT. Okay, so TE amount is to be reversed. This is the reversal required to be made. So reversal will be done by debiting to electronic credit ledger, or if the balance is not there, means the old credit have been fully utilized and there is no balance, then you have to debit it to electronic cash ledger. Okay, so this is what is to be done. So it says further that the amount of TE along with applicable interest shall during every tax period of the useful life of the asset, capital goods, be added to the output tax liability of the person making such claim of credit. So it will be added to your output tax liability. And how do you pay your output tax liability? By utilizing the electronic credit ledger balance, and if not there, then cash. So that we have written debit to electronic credit ledger or electronic cash ledger. But along with interest, this is a very draconian rule. This is not good as per me. See what government says. Government is saying that you have taken credit here, right? Credit is availed at the initial stage, but the reversal is done over 60 months. So government is saying that from year to year you have to pay interest. But that is not good, because here we have taken credit. ITC availed is not any benefit to me. When I utilize that ITC, when I set off my output liability against the credit, that is when I really use that amount. Claiming ITC is nothing. Utilizing ITC is the use of amount. But we are paying interest right from the day when we claimed credit. So that is not good. And the government rate of interest is 18% per annum. So that is also not good. It's quite huge. So that is not good. But anyways, it's there. Then the amount TE shall be computed separately for input tax credit in respect of central tax, state tax, union territory tax and integrated tax, and declared in form GSTR 3B. Obviously, all these calculations that we make are separately for each type of tax. So we'll make 4 columns depending upon which tax credit we have, and then reverse it accordingly. Then subsection 2 cut off this whole thing, and 3, 4, 5 all cut off out of course. Then at the last there is explanation that for the purpose of rule 42 and this rule means 43, it is hereby clarified that the aggregate value of exempt supplies shall exclude the value of services by way of accepting deposits, extending loans and advances insofar as the consideration is in respect of interest and discount, represented by interest and discount, except in case of banking company, financial institution or NBFC. So for banking company, NBFCs and financial companies, this extending of loan service is to be, means the interest and discount which is part of their turnover will be considered as exempt supply. But for others, it will not be considered as exempt supply. It will not be included in value of exempt supplies. Okay, like Farooq gives loans to students, that will not be excluded. But for banks and NBFCs, yes, it will be excluded. And the value of supply of service by way of transportation of goods by a vessel from customs station of clearance in India to a place outside India. So this is for the shipping companies. For transport of goods by vessel, so you write down shipping company, from customs station of clearance in India to a place outside India. So from Bombay port to, for example, Mumbai to Dubai. So though this is exempt, but it will not be included in exempt turnover. Means there will be no reversal of credit to this extent. Simple. Then explanation 2 is to be cut off. That's it. So that was rule 43 for capital goods. Next given here is rule 44, but you write it down here. We'll study it after section 18. So first we'll see section 18, because this rule is relevant for section 18, not 17. It is misprinted here, so therefore we'll study it after we have finished section 18. Then we'll see rule 40, 41, 41A, and then come to this 44. Okay, great.